Did you know Fernando?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, he was a very good friend of mine. And that's how we came up to work together, basically.
Yeah. No, like, is it okay? No, like, you don't have to. No, would it be okay to talk about him? Just to even mention
Yeah,
him, give
no,
him.
sure, sure.
Yeah.
No, it's good to talk about Fernand. Yeah,
Yeah. No, because like you know, found VD Dev when Ironfall came out on the 3DS,
yeah,
and I think I was in contact with Fernando when I was, when I got a key. I'm not sure who he was talking to. I think it was him, but like, like it is pretty sad though. I find,
yeah.
everything unfortunate that happened to him. But
Yeah. It's a very unfortunate story. He was like badly taken care of while at the hospital.
mm,
It was a heart attack, basically, but it could have been prevented. So that's why it's quite tough because sometimes some people have some illness and you cannot cure them.
yeah,
But in the case of Fernando, it was clearly like bad treatment, basically.
okay,
And so it's very a shame that what happened, and and nobody could predict it. And uh, and before he just say he felt tired and but nothing special. Actually, I was still living. If you do you want me to tell the story now? Or?
I don't mind. It's up to you. Like,
Yeah, no, but if you want me to, I can just say the story how we, because I think I remember your question, like how I started on the project,
yeah,
and it's linked to Fernand, so that's why.
yeah,
Basically, I was a very good friend of Fernand, but I met him through my wife, and so we were like I didn't know him for a while. I think it's just maybe 2 3 years before. But we get on each other very well because he did like car. He used to buy cool cars, and he was very good friend. So we used to go on road trip together with some friends.
hmm,
And and at some point, he told me that with Ironfall, they missed a little bit. The people say, yeah, okay, maybe the world is not super new, or techniques is very good, but then the drawbacks is that there is no special signature from VDDev, like in terms of concept and style for the overall game. And he said, okay, so we've been criticized on this, and now we want to make a racing game. And he basically asked me, do you know any guy who could design the car for us?
hmm.
And I was like, are you joking? Or no? And so I told him I can do it if you want. He said, oh yeah, you have time. Because Fernand was always very like very kind, very nice. No, he always thinks some people have better things to do than work with him or do things. And so I think yeah, I have time because maybe you maybe check what I did. I designed the Lycan Hypersport from W Motors, which appeared in the movie Fast and Furious 7.
Oh, cool.
So you know these cars, the car that jumps from one tower to another
Yeah.
in Fast and Furious 7. So that's why actually I came to Dubai to work for this company, W Motors. And so I designed for them the Icon and the Fenir. So that's why when Fernand asked me if I could design the cars, he thought I would not have time because I was working with the other in another company, but it's a small company, so it's very open. So I said yes, I would work, I would happily design the cars for you, and for me it was good fun. And what happened is VDDev is a very small team basically at the time. It's only Guillaume and Fernand, and so the two of them basically we started, I say, to be a bit more involved on the concept of the game because it's always the same story. I'm like, okay, you want me to design cars, but what type of cars, what kind of approach you want to for the game, and then having all these questions, we realize actually we need to brainstorm a little bit more and find out what would be the concept of the game. And that's why I really started with VDDev. And on the what would be a fun approach to racing. And I always felt I used to remember Sega Rally and all this game where you could drift easily. And I felt today you don't have this sense of driving. I like driving, and I know it's super difficult actually to handle a proper power slide. So for me, I expect that in a game,
Hmm.
it enhances basically my skills.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's the thing with the arcade game. It's fun because you can handle it very fast, but you still need to have a fine control. And I remember at the beginning, Fernand was setting up basically the physics and of the cars, and I could give him some particular aspect I thought would be interesting for Rise. Was I gave him, I remember, I sent him a video of Ken Block doing the Gymkhana in San Francisco. I don't know if you know Ken Block, the rally guy who makes this stunt, with only by power sliding and drifting.
No, no.
No, and basically Ken Block is super famous. If you check, you will see. And basically, it's called a Gymkhana, and in games like Dirt 1, 2, and 3,
Okay.
there are this type of event. And basically, they work with Ken Block, I think, on Dirt 2.
Right.
And you have when you see the videos, he's always power sliding to steer the car and jumping a bit through the street of San Francisco, with the ramps. And everybody thinks it's super fun, but it's also super difficult to master, this type of driving.
Yeah.
So basically, the concept of Rise was from that. We said, okay, we should be able to drift like this and power slide, but it should be very accessible. And as we explained all the time, the game is based on a real physics engine. So Guillaume worked a lot on it because Fernando started with that, but then sadly he died, and so Guillaume took over and he did a great job in fine tuning all this aspect of the game because it's really the main accent of the game, the gameplay, and that's what we felt. Even being a small studio, we could manage to have a signature on this. And then I worked as well on the overall atmosphere of the game. It's a bit futuristic, but not too much.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's in some realistic surrounding environments. But you have some kind of small features, small buildings that are futuristic. So we try to blend and have this signature that maybe in Ironfall was kind of missing somehow. And that was the role. And then designing totally the cars. So, and I work closely with Guillaume on that. And basically, Guillaume, the story is that Frederic Zimmer, who used to work as well on Ironfall, basically took over the job of Fernando for programming.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are a very extremely small team. and Guillaume now is at the core of this. He's the one organizing all this and managing all this.
Mm-hmm. Like for me, Ironfall on the 3DS was like, for me, it stands out. It probably is the most, technical, spectacular looking game on the 3DS. But I mean, for it's like when it first came out, like I'm there going, holy shit, this looks so good, and it's on 3DS. And it just looks incredible, and it plays great too, and even the online is so much fun as well.
Yeah, because I mean, Fernand and Guillaume, they are a lot into
Yeah.
technique and techniques, and it's really their very, very core assets. They are crazy about it, and I remember I followed a bit Ironfall overall. And Fernand used to tell me, well, where they are good at and compared to the Nintendo DS. To be honest, I was a bit a foreigner on this, and yes, I realized. No, he explained to me how the size of the textures they can upload because they just tweak a bit more the algorithm, and etc. And they are really, really a lot into this. And Guillaume as well, I noticed on Rise, it's super good at just finding the right technological approach to make things work smoothly. He's very into making things efficient and not using extra for the texture. He will just use the size he needs for the texture and not more. No, he could be more useful. Sorry, not more useful, more a bit easier to not to try to make all these little aspects of the game efficient, but overall, it's all these tiny works in details that give this aspect, and how it always managed to be so good technically in these consoles that are not very powerful. Yeah, they don't like any processor power. They will use 100% of the process, and they will always try to find a better way to approach all this. And Frederick as well, he has a good edge on that. So, and they always think of how to say, for instance, when we worked on the cars, I remember, I thought, to be honest, I would have much more freedom, but then Guillaume always had this in mind, like being the most efficient possible. So he will ask me, don't put so many items because we'll have to load them, and then he multiply by the number of cards, it will get more complicated. And for instance, on Steam, on PC, it's not an issue, but we were already thinking of the Nintendo platform. So that's why he all thought ahead. And to be honest, I like to work in this type of environment because as a professional designer, you have to work with a lot of constraints and parameters. So I find it actually quite interesting you almost have the same number of parameters, but they are different. But you still have to play with the exact rules. And where you feel VDDev, Guillaume, and the team is so experienced that it's very, very clear. As soon as you do something, you don't have to think twice to say, oh, this will be complicated. Oh, no, this is simple. No, for me, it's easy. No, for me, it's not easy. It's never like, okay, we try and we'll see. And I think that's, again, where they can be super efficient.
Yeah. Yeah, so like yourself, what exactly got you into cars, and where did you like what got you, into designing vehicles, and who or what inspired you to do this?
But it's pretty the story from my side is pretty simple. When I was a kid, I got in love with cars, and it was my passion since a very early age. So I always say, okay, I want to be a car designer. I went to study mechanical engineering as well to have a broad knowledge on this topic. But then I studied at Coventry University in automotive design. That's where I met Ralph Debaz, founder of W Motors. And it took a bit of time, but he started the business and employed me as a main designer for the Lycan and the rest of the cars. So where I was lucky in a way is I never worked for an OEM for a big company. But I always worked in a small company where I have a lot of freedom, but a lot of impact at the same time. And that's why I'm quite curious about things, I think, and I like to experiment new approach and where I can apply car design in other field, it's perfect. So that's why for me it made a lot of sense to work in a video game. And what I like about it is like it's a bit like if you have to design concept cars, they don't need to be manufactured, so you can have much more freedom and you can be much crazier. But you also have to analyze how you should design these cars. For instance, in a video game, you mainly see the car from the back, and the camera angle is very wide, so that you have a lot of deformation of the body. And that's why even the cars in Rise, they've been designed with this angle, so they could look good from the back to be honest, I spend less time on the front, and that's again how you can be in a way more efficient, or you optimize more the design, and maybe they work well like this in this type of video games. So that's how basically I got into cars from early age, and W Motors working for them. And what happened while I was working at W Motors, I had always this question of what would be my dream car, and actually I didn't have really like a dream car, but then I started to design my own car just for fun,
Mm-hmm.
and it appeared to be the design one, the one you see maybe here, like this one. Huh?
Yeah.
And this actually now it's my main activity. I basically started this company with a friend who used to make boats here in Dubai. And from this crazy idea, we were supposed to only do one or two cars for us. And it happened to that we had clients who wanted the car as well, and it became a business. So now it's my main activity, and so yeah, there's a lot of change into this. And again, what I love to be honest with video games is that it's very playful. You are in this world where you have this freedom and fantasy of doing whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
You still have the constraint, what I explained before, of the technical constraint for that should work for the programmers. But except that, you for a designer, it's very playful. Basically, that's what I love in it.
Yeah. And like I find for VD Dev as a company, for a company that's small in numbers, if I'm correct, you give off this feel and look that it's from like if this game is developed by a big company.
Yeah, yeah, because it's really the attention to details from Guillaume and Fernand at the time, and now also Frédéric. But Guillaume, I found him. Yeah, he has no compromise. No, he will push and the maximum he can. No, it's and to be we get on quite well on this because I have the same approach when I do design as well. It's not because we are small or whatever. When especially for the design one or the W Motors Vacant, you feel okay. I should be able to put this car next to an OEM car, a big car, if I'm a car from a big manufacturer, and it shouldn't feel like this car is less expensive or it looks more artisanal. And I found that Guillaume has the same approach with video game. For him, for instance, the quality of the texture, the quality of the details, they should they should follow like the triple A games. And very often it's very humble. So very often it's like we cannot be like the triple A games. We cannot do that. We cannot do this.
Mm.
But he tends to do the maximum he can, and that's where when you have this broad knowledge they have overall with all the experience they have, they tend to know exactly why they won't go into that direction because they know that going in this direction would take us too much time or too much resources, and it wouldn't look good in the game. So we don't take this route. We take rather this route, which is approachable for us, and we will achieve the quality we want. And for instance, a little thing, many people ask about having a urban environment, a city environment for the game. And me too, at the beginning, I was like, it would be great to have one world like this. And Guillaume always tell me, yeah, but it's super difficult to have nice details and to make a city, basically. So for me, I'm like, okay, just do simple blocks and we do. But, for instance, he will refuse that because he knows that we won't achieve the same standards of quality we manage to get when you do a natural landscape where you can apply random textures a little bit, working with the rocks and all this thing. And then that's why you say, like, for your eyes, it doesn't look that different from a triple A game. But then if we were to make maybe a city world, we wouldn't have the resources to make it look as good as a triple A game. So that's where the experience is super useful, just to steer, to guide the development of the game.
Yeah.
But we will still try maybe at some point because it's always where I think we get on quite well. We try to find tricks,
Yeah.
to still approach, to still have this feel of maybe a urban environment, but without having to maybe make so many different buildings. That's
Hmm. Yeah, but I don't know about you, but I find Rise is one of the best looking games on Switch. Like it's the most realistic looking one, probably. But like for something that's considered mobile technology, the Switch, like.
yeah, yeah,
But the quality is absolutely fantastic on it.
yeah, because again, the, the way Guillaume works is not like, okay, we're gonna take the most powerful machine on the PC, developed the game for this, and then we have to make cut in the quality of the game just to manage to convert it to a less powerful platform.
Hmm.
It's always like it's trying to be efficient at every level of the programmation and on the graphics as well. So that's how the game has been tailored, like this. So in the end, it's easy to convert on the Switch because everything was already super efficient since the beginning. And from what I understood, honestly, it's not my own experience, but from what Guillaume explained to me, is that yeah, when you have a bigger team and more resources, you tend first to be less efficient, and you will try to compromise less. You will just do a more, let's say, um, you will try to approach. I mean, I don't know what to say, but it's easy to grasp that when you are a bigger team,
Hmm.
you need to split the work into each person, and then you need to assemble everything. So then you lose this super efficiency where everything is linked properly. And where Guillaume again is good with Frederic is that because they re-handle everything, they know how to be very efficient from the very beginning, from the interface of the game, the menu, was the fact that you save first your game, and then you access the menu. I remember saying like it's the first thing they program, since
Okay.
the beginning. You have to program like this because it will be easier when we'll have to update or whatever, etc. So they already think ahead of all this, and I guess in a bigger studio, it's more complicated. You would have one guy designing something, one guy designing the interface, and then they would bring everything together.
Hmm.
And that's again where they tend to achieve. And they are used as well to work with very, I mean, not very powerful consoles.
Yeah.
Because with Nintendo, and they are, it's a bit like if it's naturally trained for that.
Hmm. So, what games did you play growing up anyway, yourself?
But a lot of racing games, mostly most of the famous racing games from Gran Turismo, Ridge Racer. Uh, Strangely, I never really played Sega Rally.
Hmm.
That's why I had this fantasy when we make this game. I was like, oh, yeah, I always liked Sega Rally. I never really played it because I had Nintendo consoles, and I've never been on the Sega console, basically, and Nintendo and then PlayStation.
Yeah.
And so, and Sega Rally, so that's why in my mind I had this fantasy of very smooth power slide. And actually, for the game, for when we developed Rise, we started to play again Sega Rally. I agree, it was not at all what we remembered. I don't know if you played recently Sega Rally, but for everybody, it was like, oh, yeah, in my mind, I thought I was power sliding smoothly, and it's not the same story at all. The only thing we took from Sega Rally, and that's something Guillaume analyzed very well, it's the width of the track. We have very broad, very wide track. That's what lets you actually have time to power slide. And that's very specific to Rise. Many games they have, which are much more close to pure rally, they have very close and narrow track, And that's why basically it's not that fun sometimes because you never have time to handle your power slide, and then you become frustrated. And we really not wanted to have that. So Segarali, the first iteration of Segarali, that this specific feature.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and I play also a lot of simulation, racing simulation, and it's for instance Assetto Corsa. I don't know if you know this game on PC.
What is it called? Sorry.
Assetto Corsa.
No.
Check. It's from an Italian studio, and now they are quite big on the simulation scene, and they are very good with the physics, especially the physics of the tires. So again, that's why we wanted the game as well. If you're someone who loves simulation, it's something you. Sorry, if you love simulation, it's something you can still have fun in Rise because again the physics is realistic, so you can apply what you learn in simulation to the game. It will just be easier to handle because you will brake faster, you will slide more easily, you will there is a boost that helps you a lot. But all of this is still I don't know if you sensed it in the game. It's still a bit realistic. All the logic is there.
Okay. Uh, see. Yeah, do any of the vehicles that you've designed in real life actually, designed in the game, actually exist in real life?
But there's a bit of the design one in the game. Maybe the first one, the D1V, is
Uh,
actually derived from the existing design one. But as I explained before, yeah, exactly this one, yeah.
yeah,
So the front is a bit different, but more or less the proportion but something, for instance, the design one is an open car, and this in the game we wanted closed cabin car. That's why I had to design something different, and we decided for the game. Actually, I created a scenario we couldn't explain at the moment. But so for me, it's very interesting to create a world, a scenario, like if you were actually the story writing for a movie. And so all the games they have to belong in a close future. So the existing design one couldn't be the same exactly the same look. It has to be a bit more futuristic. So that's why I took inspiration like this from the car and put. And there are other cars that have some clear inspiration, but it's mainly just an inspiration because it's to give a bit of that's why we call it a retro game in a way. So all the environment as well has to be a bit retro. So that's why there are some past cars that has been inspired from. And but all the cars, there was a clear brief at the beginning. I remember Fernando telling me, people they don't like things that are too futuristic. They need to relate to existing stuff. And so that's why for me, for instance, the cars they still have four wheels, even if they're supposed to slightly fly over the ground. They still have four wheels that actually some kind of turbines that push air underneath and from the back. And but so for someone who look at the car very quickly, they will see normal cars. But if you look at the car in details, you will see that they don't actually have wheels. It's actually like big blades, and they're actually some kind of turbines.
yeah,
And that's a trick, to make them look like cars, but they're actually futuristic vehicles.
yeah, yeah. My favorite car would be the Riedel Supersport overall.
Yeah,
Uh, I don't. I just think maybe performance overall is pretty good on each of the
yeah.
levels. But just trying to no, but like the cars in this are absolutely gorgeous. Let's see the
But the Riddle, do you like the styling or the handling, the way it drives?
you see that's the thing. See, like you're playing some levels and like, even for like the snow and stuff. But that's what I love about it, like the weather. Like no matter like whatever surface you're on, like you're always going to be affected. regardless of what
Mm.
you know what of which vehicle you drive. But some of them is like, oh my god, like it's so hard to control. But that's because
Yeah,
of the weather, like the snow and whatever.
yeah,
Uh, like the T Pro One Hypertruck is an absolute beast.
yeah,
Like the power of the grip and the stability is fantastic, but the steering isn't the
mm.
best. So you have to be
Yeah,
really careful with it.
exactly. And what we wanted, it was a big dilemma at the beginning to decide of the sequence you of the cars, because at the beginning I was like, we don't have so many cars, but they all have a different style.
Yeah, yeah,
And so I was saying maybe if you like this style of the car, styling of this car, but you like the handling of another car, do we have a solution? And we had to take a decision of like, okay, we try to get the car not too, in terms of performance, they are a bit different. You know, the latest one you unlock, obviously they are the most powerful. They have more torque basically. Gear plays with the torque. So the more you have torque, the more the car will go straight when you accelerate. And that's why some cars are more difficult to handle when you in the latest ones. But we also wanted to have this range of, for instance, I play simulation, and for instance, the most difficult cars, they are the one I get the most fun with. That's why we have like players who play simulations. They are very happy about this game because they want something hard to play with. They want really to control and to really master the slide and some other cars like the Riddle actually is the easiest one in the way that it slides less. I don't know if you noticed, it's much more stable and uh, and actually the T Pro as well is more stable. But the T Pro is difficult to steer. What happens basically is like every time you accelerate, there's so much torque that your wheels go straight, so you don't steer anymore. And that's why basically with the T Pro you have to use a lot the handbrake and actually accelerate quite late. So that's why where we say we are in between an arcade game and a simulation game is like it's really fine tuned each handling of the car. So I'm happy, you find your best car and you stick
mm,
to that because maybe you could say, oh yeah, most of the cars are the same, so they don't feel much different, but you do feel the differences. So that
yeah.
was an intention. And just talking about the updates, we found actually an idea, so we can actually try to tailor the game to most of the people because we found out on Steam that maybe we were too much precise in the ending and too detailed. And actually, we have a lot of gamers and maybe more casual gamers, and they are not into simulation and everything. So, so they were a bit surprised at the beginning by the handling. But in the Switch, we improved that, and now we're gonna have a cursor, basically a setting where you can decide if your car is gonna slide more or less.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna be able to tweak more each car, so it will suit more your style as well of driving. And I think it's very nice that we had this update because it doesn't change the core concept of the gameplay, but then you have much more freedom as a player to tweak your car.
Yeah. So speaking of updates, can you talk more about the update? It's is there one coming this month or what's?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It will be, I think, by end of September. I still need to check with Guillaume, for instance, because I see that we are mid of September, so you see that time flies.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are. It should be during September, and the updates there will be this type of new settings to tweak the handle of the cars. We'll have the HD rumble because for the Switch player, it's something they are very attached to it, and we couldn't. We wanted to put it directly in the game when it was launched end of July, but we didn't have time, unfortunately. And I think, to be honest, I don't have the list in mind, but it's all this little tweak, a bit more settings, because we try to listen to the guys. We don't want to make a game too complicated,
Mm-hmm.
But there's still space for having more fine tune of the game, and especially if you want people to play longer on the game. So once you get accustomed to the game, then it's more approachable to add more settings, so you can tweak more. At the beginning, you should still be able to play very fast. If you don't want to, because some players just don't want to see any kind of settings. That's the principle of arcade games. That I don't want to have to think 20 minutes before I start playing. Any race. So we want still to keep it like this. But then there's like a second layer of, and if you want to dig more, you have all these fine tunes that you can add. And I don't know what else we implement. I don't know if you have the list. Do you have the list in front of you or not?
Sorry, what did you say there?
Do you have the list in front of you of the update? Because we communicated on the update. Let me check.
Uh,
Yes, stability settings, string sensitivity. Yes, we had some complaint as well about the sensitivity of the stick and
okay.
basically the joystick on the Switch is kind of very basic compared to a PS4 controller or a PC controller. So I remember Guillaume had to tweak a lot the gameplay according to this specific Switch, and now we find actually some new tunings and each player can also now like do its own settings. And again, we found out there are very many types of different player, and so it's cool that they are able to set whatever they like. And a big improvement as well is on the AI of the other cars, because we noticed that some players were not happy because they get cars they get impacts with other cars from behind, for instance. And again, it's a difficult dilemma because at least the AI they behave like real cars in real life, like real drivers in real life. And on a real racetrack, if you cut in front of another car and you brake, it's very likely that the guy behind will not have time to brake and just bump into you. That's basically what happens with the AI. And but we understand if this is an arcade game, so in an arcade game, maybe you shouldn't expect that. So we kind of implemented a special. We tricked the AI so they have like a super brake, so they will brake super efficiently, super fast as soon as you cross in front of them, basically. And but again, we don't want to make the game too easy. That's not what I felt it should be. And what is nice actually on the Switch platform is players they are used to hard game basically. And the learning curve, I really liked the approach of the Switch players because I saw in all the reviews that they say you need 1 hour at least to handle the game.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty normal now. And it should be the norm that, yeah, when you play something new, there is a learning curve. But it seems like now all the modern games, everybody expects that they should actually play straight away and be good at it straight away. And in the past, it wasn't at all this thing. There was this learning curve.
Yeah.
And there is a similarity actually with the car I produced, the Design One. It's a back to basics vehicle. It's the same story. It's something that you need to learn how to drive to enjoy, and that's part of the fun actually.
Mm-hmm.
And like modern supercars, they are super easy to drive. They are full of electronics, so basically you don't have to be a special driver. You don't have to do anything to be fast. And that's why, as in a way, I reproached as well, and we felt with the gameplay and bringing a new racing game on the market should have this a different approach, and that's why we take this approach of it's all about the gameplay and it's all about there is this learning curve and then the reward. And I think that what you guess, because I think you you like the game, but it's what you appreciated. Once you learn and you master and the game,
Yeah.
it's very rewarding, to really position the car wherever you want. I'm sure you did some kind of very long power slide where we are very close to the wall, and you find out that actually it's super fun.
Well, sure. Look, I've all the if you can see it there, the challenge is done.
Yeah. Okay.
So of course I love
Yeah.
this game. But what I want to see, I said it. I think I sent an email. What I want to see personally in a future update, if possible. Like I know it may not be possible with Switch. Well, yes or no, it's on PC. But I want to see Rise get the VR treatment.
But yeah, it's on PC. But I will tell Guillaume, yeah, on the VR treatment. Maybe, to be honest, I don't know. That's why it's always funny in this when we work like this in the team, is that maybe Guillaume will tell me, but it's super simple, it's super easy. We just have maybe to tweak a few things and that's done. Or maybe it's super complicated. And because I don't know, there's one particular technological constraint that we cannot overtake and
Well, Anthony, do you know
pass.
what? What I will do is I will contact a game developer who I know who has done VR for their game, and
Ah, yeah,
I will send you maybe. I'll maybe get you to contact each other and see what you can do if you can help each
yeah,
other out.
sure.
But no, I because like it's on VR, like it's on PC. I do have the PC version, but my friend he has a VR kit. He has an
Mm,
Oculus Rift.
yeah,
On like he has a room dedicated to VR. You know, because he's a VR DJ, believe it, which is pretty funny. Like, and he, no, I just want to go to his house someday and record the experience for the channel, do a
ah,
VR
yeah.
gameplay video, which would be so cool.
And but for me, I think the main issue, to be honest, I didn't on the Switch. I didn't know this thing too well, but the problem is the resolution. I mean, because I know on PC you need to have an extremely high resolution to have a good sense of
Depth,
depth. Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm not sure in the. I know I'm pretty sure Guillaume will tell me it's gonna look crap on the on the Nintendo VR Lab. So I don't want to do it because that's the key thing with the dev, let's say, and Guillaume and Fernando. They only want to do quality stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If it, we won't go into something if it's not with quality, basically.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Which I understand completely. You're better doing something that is of quality than not of quality.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess just before we go, is there anything that you would like to see yourself, come into Rise? Like, is there anything like maybe, well, like maybe a sequel, maybe more cars, more levels, more terrains? I don't know. Is there anything that you can
Yeah.
maybe tell us that may happen? Like, I know multiplayer is being looked at the
Yeah, yeah,
moment.
yeah. And the multiplayer, I mean, since the beginning, we know we want a multiplayer. No, there's no, personally, I have in mind since the beginning, when you have the chance to work on a game, basically, you try to do your fantasy game. And my fantasy game was to be able to play with my friends in this type of easy to grasp game and have fun for 20 minutes. But the multiplayer, it's a challenge. And yes, on the Switch, we are quite lucky because they have experience on this. And so yeah, the multiplayer, we will do the multiplayer. We are very cautious, and because Guillaume is always he's right to be super cautious when we announce something, because then we have a ton of questions that comes, and we don't want to give too much detail so far because we are still digging in it and checking what we can achieve or not, what type of multiplayer. But yeah, definitely it's and the game is a success so far on the Switch, so it clearly helps to decide. To be very transparent, if it hasn't been a success, we wouldn't have gone to the multiplayer.
Mm.
But it's great, and we want to see more people to enjoy the multiplayer aspect. And on the other side, what something I would have liked to have time to implement, it's really the story, because there is a story behind Rise. I wrote a full script. I said it's useful for designer to develop a world where actually then you create constraints, and then it makes the world more realistic, and all the cars they have a story behind it. We were supposed to implement as well proper characters and to have a true story with the characters behind it. And so maybe in the future we'll try to implement that if we have more time. It's not going to be an RPG, but there will be a story behind the Rise. So and behind each one as well, there's a story. Behind this championship. I don't know if you saw, for instance, AYC, the logos everywhere on the cars and in the event. There is a meaning for that, etc. So maybe bit by bit we will release a bit of story behind the eyes for the people who are curious about it. And but it's a proper sci-fi scenario. And as well, yeah, we said before, having a city environment would be nice to add in the game. And I don't think Rise 2 would be today still useful, but what I explained to Guillaume as well is that we are creating a franchise now with Rise. That's why we need to add characters and the cars, etc. And what I mean is all this world we create, maybe VTD will do another game with on a different type of game, basically another FPS or whatever. But it could still be in the world of Rise, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is really to develop this story. So that's what I would like actually to push more in the game. It's not only just 10 cars and a nice gameplay. You know?
So yeah, see personally, like I want to see all this like you said, you know, like a story mode and you know new content come to the game, multiplayer of course, like an open world game. But like I did say, I want to see Ironfall come to Switch. I want to see Cop the Recruit come to Switch as well. I actually own that physically on the Nintendo DS, and like I you know played some of it ages ago, and I was like, oh my god, why have I not seen this before? But I mean, like, I don't know how something like that can be achieved on the DS. But like, it's just so impressive. I think for a DS game, for what you can do. It's an open world 3D game.
Yeah, because Fernando at the time used to tell me they don't use the kit developed by Nintendo to develop their game. They go directly to the source code and they tweak it. So that's how you can basically save iteration cycles in the processor. That's why you can put actually more bigger textures, bigger world and everything. And I would say, unfortunately, because Fernand is not here anymore, I don't know who has really this deep knowledge and today I would say also that even if the Switch is less powerful than PS4 and future PS5, whatever, they are still powerful consoles, and so you don't need maybe to be so optimized, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's where actually Vededev and I think Fernand and Guillaume were right to start to invest more into a new world and new proper signature in terms of concept design, because clearly, you know, now I know the power is it's less a differentiation, you know. It's more about the concept of the game that appeals to you or not, you know.
Yeah.
And so I guess it's more like in the future. But I will ask Guillaume for Cop the Recruit, but Cop the Recruit I think it's Ubisoft. No?
Yeah, but VD obviously is the developer, but Ubisoft published the game.
Yeah, so you have to ask Ubisoft basically.
But like you guys done Driver 3 Renegade as well, if I'm correct, on 3DS, which is still as impressive.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and I think it's the same engine as the Cop the Recruit.
Really? So it can happen. Just bring it over.
No, but they can. But what I just mean is that I know that Guillaume also he likes the challenge, you know. So if it's not a challenge, I don't think he will jump into it. So recreating something that has already been done I'm not sure,
Yeah.
and we are unfortunately we are still a small team, so so it's difficult to spread our energy on many products.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, Anthony, thanks for coming on the show. Much appreciated. Where can we
Right,
find
my
you
pleasure.
on social media?
Yeah, basically it's my surname generally like JANNARELLY, and it's just on Instagram or Twitter. It's even you go through Google and you find out what. It's very easy to find. It's at Janarelli, basically.
Oui, merci beaucoup.
And
So,
VDDev as well. We communicate for VDDev. We communicate mainly on Twitter, as you noticed.
yeah.
So it's always good to follow on Twitter VDDev because really, if you want the latest news, we really put them on this, and we intend to exchange more with the community now.
Yeah.
And we have as well Rise the Future on Instagram, but it was more to also cover some topics and some people who might enjoy who are more into this type of platform. And so yeah, we'll just follow what you can, everybody you can, and yeah, and I really insist on the fact that as a very small studio, it's really the number of players that make us decide what we should do next, you know. And I always emphasize on the fact that people ask the multiplayer, but obviously, if you want to multiplayer, you want a good community of gamers, you know. So it's always when you reach a certain number of sales that then it's a relevant things to develop, you know, as a multiplayer. So so yeah, every time the more units, the more player on the game. I mean, basically, honestly, the faster the multiplayer will be developed, and the STS we will have. And for me, that's is the main big milestone. Everybody is waiting for this game,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously there will be more cars to develop. That's always going to be a bit the mechanic of the game, you know,
Yeah.
to develop new stuff. And
So, Anthony, thanks for coming on. Thanks, guys, for watching, of course. You can check us out on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. And for more Rise and podcasts, keep right here at IGS. Alright, guys, see you soon. Bye.
bye bye.